So as I'm sure you all know, Ocarina of Time was an absolutely huge game when it first came out. And not only that, but thanks to ignorant kids having a lack of internet back then, it led to many huge playground rumors, or urban legends of Zelda as the trope name implies, that were a bunch of lies in the end, but also had sort of a point to them, and overall were just really fun and interesting to think about. And I've been thinking about all of those rumors, and I want to just talk about them and my favorites. And I'll also go over some of the biggest ones here. And this idea first came into fruition a while ago when I watched Dr. Lava's video on the cut content of Ocarina of Time. And in there, he talks about a certain rumor regarding the yellow, white, and black tunics. And while modding has made changing Link's color really easy, those three specifically stand out because you can obtain them through not modding, but just through a Game Shark cheat, implying that there were left out content that were intended to have a purpose in the final game. And the idea of extra tunics is just really cool. But anyway, he speaks of a rumor in there, and it was the first time I ever heard of it, and I found it really fascinating. I'm not sure where he got it from, but to sum it up, you beat the Running Man, and you get the yellow tunic, which increases Link's speed, but also lets him cross the sands in the desert. And then you find a new temple there. You beat that, you get the white tunic, increases Link's defense, and then while wearing that, you go to where Dark Link was. And Oblivion Link takes his place, you beat him, you get the black tunic, which increases Link's attack. Unless if I said that for white tunic or this, I meant defense, but whatever. Anyway, that rumor also helps kind of connect a lot of other things I'm going to talk about in this video, because a lot of the rumors for this game were just coincidentally connected somehow, but it makes things pretty interesting that there was a pattern followed here. I'm going to start out with the Running Man. While personally I never found much interest in him and myself, he was one of the biggest things to talk about with the game because it seemed like you should have been able to beat him, but you never could. He would always win by 1 second. And people never really explained how to beat him, but they said they did it. And apparently he can lead you to either get those tunics, or maybe a horse, or even the Triforce, which we'll go into even later. But yes. And another big thing about this game were extra dungeons. And some of those dungeons consisted of places such as the Sky and Light Temple. Now, I also heard places about a Rainbow Temple, but that was only one time on Reddit while I was looking for stuff in this video, so I'll ignore that. But Sky and Light were the two biggest ones, and they were also kind of the same in how they were explained, whereas they would usually end with you obtaining the Triforce. And while I could get into Light later, I'll talk about Sky right now, and one way I heard about unlocking it was to be 100 stall children at nighttime, which, yeah, I'm sure that's possible. But anyway, Link could gain access to there, and in the end, if not the Triforce, he could find the Unicorn Fountain, which was other rumor that I find really interesting. Now, the Unicorn Fountain was an actual cut beta room from the game, and it was speculated that Link could obtain either the Triforce or the Beam Sword attack from there, or both. And it makes sense considering the Beam Sword attack was in the other games, but missing from Ocarina of Time. And another location that I heard where it could be found at was at the bottom of Source Domain when it's frozen over. And like the Running Man, players found it weird that you can never unfreeze it after being the Water Temple, so that was another source of rumors. Most people would usually say that you could get some sort of special hammer to crack the ice, but that of course never came real. Now, I mentioned the Triforce and the Light Temple both here, so I'm going to talk about one of the biggest hoaxes regarding the game now. And that's a series of emails by a player who claimed to obtain the Triforce, and she had pictures to boot with it. And people were questioning if they were real or not, and she was saying it was, and if there was any problem, it was just the game's fault. And something that she mentioned you had to do was play the Overture of Sages before obtaining the Master Sword, and that would lead Link to the Light Temple. And that song itself, even though these were proven fake, that song ended up in many other rumors afterwards. But anyway, she said that if you play that, Link could enter the Light Temple, where at the end he'll find the Triforce. Nobody really never talked about what the Triforce could do, but just the idea of being able to obtain a seemingly missing item in the game was great. And she eventually came out as fake when she made an image of Link playing that song, and his sword was on the wrong end. She said she did it on purpose so people would notice, but who knows for sure. And either way, that song found its way into many other rumors of speculation to obtain it, and even rumors inside there were mentioned, such as Dark Link, or blowing up all of the stone mass statues, the Gossip Stones. And blowing up the Gossip Stones even were in magazines as April Fool's gags. And while she denied those and claimed her true evidence was real, it's still a really fascinating subject. Darkwing showing up at the house was a frequent thing to bring up, and apparently he would just tell you where the Triforce is. But yes, other rumors include falling into the hole at Ganondorf's castle, specifically the center of the lava pool at the bottom. And that's interesting because there actually are little platforms that just seemingly go nowhere that allow you to walk on them and eventually fall off of the hover boots and land in there. Or you could just throw a bomb into the center and maybe you'll get a special reward too. But anyway, that kind of wraps up most of the rumors that I find interesting. There are little things like phantom arrows replacing fire arrows and such, but I never cared too much of those or heard about them only once, or just didn't find it interesting to talk about here. And most of the rumors I talked about on here kind of lead to Ura Zelda, which is the real meat and bones. So I'm going to save that for the next part, while this one is kind of part one in itself. But I want to also hear what other people have heard about this game back then, and maybe I could do another video talking about what everyone has heard. But Ura Zelda will be next, specifically the fan dreams of it. And a lot of subjects that were on here will come back to that, as well as other beta content and other new things. So wait until then.